Time to take a look at the world's first lager. Hello and welcome back to the channel, and yes, that's right, today I'm taking a look at this, a bottle of Pilsner Urquell, which in a roundabout way is the world's first ever lager. Now of course I don't mean this actual bottle, but in general Pilsner Urquell was the first light lager, light Pilsner in the world. That's where it originated. It got very popular as a result, and the reason that lots of other beers today are called Pilsners is because of, Pilsner Urquell. This is the origin of the word. Pilsner Urquell comes from the Czech Republic, and the brewery is also called the Pilsner Urquell Brewery, so they are, very much a one-trick pony, but what a hell of a trick they are putting out. Now, I say that because over the past few years, every time someone said, oh, I'm going to the supermarket just buying a lager, what should I get? Well, that's quite a difficult question in this day and age. First off, a lot of the larger kind of production breweries doing lager quite often kind of import some stuff and then make the rest of it in the UK, ends up not being very good, lowering the ABV, generally diminishing the quality of the product overall, and as a result it can get a little bit tricky to say who you should go to. Now of course there are plenty of German lagers that are excellent, but they aren't available in all supermarkets all of the time, and then you get to things like Budvar, which is also from the Czech Republic, which is always available, but if you look at a review I did a few weeks back, sometimes the conditioning on those can be questionable because of their insistence on using green bottles, and Pilsner Urquell as a result, in my mind, has been the go-to absolute safest bet if you've not got anything more special available in UK supermarkets for the past few years, and today we're going to find out if that is still actually the case. So what is it? Well, it's a 4.4% Pilsner, as you probably guessed. Quick look at the bottle. The label on this one has got a bit crinkled up, it has to be said. I think it's got a bit damp and then kind of scrunched up whilst in the fridge, but it looks well enough. I do like the little stamp they put on these. It looks class. A load of info on the back there, which we'll get into a little bit later, but yeah, it's a fine looking thing. Now Czech Pilsners are traditionally poured quite aggressively, so let's try and get some nice foamy head action here. There you go then, not a bad job. Holding this up to the light, beautiful golden, looks quite rich for a Pilsner, especially compared to a lot of German Pilsners. It's got a much deeper, richer golden hue to it. Nice, massive, fluffy white head on it. Looks absolutely the business. Reasonable carbonation, but these glasses don't have the little percolatory thing, I always forget the name, that on the bottom, but the kind of wider, squatter glass is traditionally how these are served, so it's what I've gone for. But yeah, on the visual, absolutely stunning. So then, aromas. I mean, that Saaz hop profile, which is what this is just so iconic at this point in time. It's been used for probably hundreds of years now for these types of beers, and as far as more aggressively hopped beer goes, Saaz is one that I always just really get on with. It's got this beautiful, airy, outdoors, meadowy quality to it. Yes, it's slightly grassy and a little bit woody, but it's got this extraness. It's almost honeyed, slightly floral. And the malt in this, again, Pilsners generally, certainly German Pilsners, they shy away a little bit from the malt, make it all about the hop. This feels very balanced, very much a complete piece. It's got this nice, it's not quite bready, but it's got this kind of sweet biscuit shortbready malt to it that, yeah, just smells absolutely fantastic. So, visual looks good, aroma's fantastic. Let's get into it, shall we? Cheers. It's been a while since I've had one of these, and yeah, you can tell it's not lost any of its charm. Balance is the thing I come back to time and time again. Really can't be enforced strongly enough. A beer needs lots of different attributes, and then to start balancing each other off to give you a really immersive, full experience of all of the ingredients and the environment in which it was made and everything else. And this really is doing just that. It's nicely sweet, it's got beautiful mineral water, it's got a depth, that hop profile, again that kind of grassy, meadowy, slightly floral hint, and the malt's there, then it's not, then it comes back and it's even sweeter, and you think, oh, that's not very Pilsnery at all. and then big smack of bitterness right on the back that really just helps keel everything over, make it all very much balanced, a linear line of an experience, which means ultimately it's just infinitely drinkable. And for me, the thing that is really impressive is that bitter edge that comes in at the end, really sticks you over the back of the tongue. It is a quality in a lot of beers that I would taste and go, I don't like that. Like, it's really not for me. You're overdone the bitterness and it's too much and it's too aggressive. It is really, really sharp, but it is complementing and complemented by everything else that is going on to such a degree that I adore it. I think it's fantastic. So yeah, they're definitely doing something right even to this day. Let's give it a proper top to bottom taste test to work out what else is going on in there though. So on the front of the tongue, good carbonation, alarmingly sweet actually, some nice rich almost toffee like notes on there from the malt. You do get a little bit of a hint of that Saaz hop, but it's just kind of a bit of background greenery. There's not a distinct flavour at that point. You just know there's something slightly vegetal about to come your way, which of course it does as you get over that proper first full third of the tongue. You get your first tickle of bitterness. It's not too much, it's quite welcoming, it's there reminding you it's, you know, it's refreshing. It's not going to be just a pudding of a thing. There's nice grassy notes in there. Again, the kind of honeyed floralness, which mixes really well with that slightly toffee-like malt that you had right on the tip there. Little bit piney, possibly in places, but pine's the wrong word. It's like, I'll be honest, I don't really know what plant it's like, but you get kind of things that look a bit piney but don't have the quite intensity. But yeah, something along those lines. I must say, wide aperture glasses and moustaches are not the best of friends. They collect beer for you, which is not ideal. But anyway, onto the mid palate. Really, it's just back in with the malt sweetness. There's a bit of that water mineral quality coming in, but it's not super pronounced. There's kind of just like an underlying tone of a few mineral notes, but it's not big, it's not brash. The malt profile is very much keeping that kind of toffee consistency as it was on the tip of the tongue, but there's just an underlying bitterness that carries on from that very first interaction, still going now, so it doesn't get too much. You just go, yeah, this is really good. It does have this kind of distinct butterscotchy vibe, which can be an off flavour in beer. It can be representative of...
A few moments later.
It's a thing called diacetyl, which is, it's basically just an ester that you don't really want in your brewing process. I'm a little bit torn as to whether this is properly that or whether this is just some very sweet malt that's really kind of just coming across in that way. But in any event, even if it is that thing you don't necessarily want, it works so well in this, so I really just don't care. But anyway, that's, yeah, it's got this kind of slightly butterscotchy, but it's leaning more towards something distinctly caramel, whereas diacetyl can sometimes come across much more kind of buttery. Like, there's a distinct difference, but yeah, this is kind of meeting that grey area a little bit. Anyway, still fantastic. Onto the back of the tongue. The sweetness carries on, and then you get absolutely lashed with another massive hit of really intense bitterness from the hops. But what those Saaz hops do, which a lot of modern hops don't, and why I love them so much, it can come in with this absolute punch of a big, bitter experience. But it doesn't deter from the malt itself. You can still taste all the malt. It doesn't flood your palate with, you know, obscure tropical fruits. It's just, it's a balancing act, but without heaps of flavour. Yes, it's slightly grassy and, you know, a little bit whatever, but it doesn't really stop you enjoying everything else that is there, and as a result, it works for me absolutely every time. On to the aftertaste. Interestingly, actually, it doesn't really change. You're kept with that slightly butterscotchy, fudgy sweetness, a little bit of grassy bitterness, and to be honest, it doesn't actually dry the palate out. I would think something with that much bitterness would really leave you with a very dry mouth, but I'm pretty sure, certainly on that last sip anyway, it just isn't really the case. Slightly, you can feel it evaporating slightly from that bitterness, but yeah, not in the way a truly drying bitter beer often would. It still leaves you with plenty of saliva kicking around, which, well, it's not a good or a bad thing, it's just an observation, really. But as you can tell, I am very happy with that indeed. Right then, let's take a quick look at this bottle. So on the front, it says Pilsner Urquell, brewed only in Pilsen, Czech Republic. Oh, okay. Presumably that's where the name comes from, although it is spelt slightly differently. I don't know if you can see next to my finger there, that's the That's the spelling of Pilsen in terms of the location. It says the original Pilsner brewed the original way since 1842. Been around a wee while then. This beer is pasteurised, which is a shame, but it's internationally shipped. It's kind of understandable. And of course, they are owned by a large corporation these days in the form of Asahi. So never mind, but it is what it is. It's still a fantastically tasting beer. There is 42 calories per 100 ml, and this is a whopping 500 ml bottle, so go easy on that stuff. It's 4.4%, and that's all it actually really says. The bottles are very nice, very nicely designed, and in terms of a reliable supermarket lager, sure, if they've got something from Hofbrau in there or one of the other German brewers that you like, I know that's really good. I'm always going to go there. But for those times that it's not, I really think you would struggle to beat this. I do love Budvar, but I just find it too inconsistent in the UK, given those green bottles. I should probably do a head-to-head with the cans at some point, but yeah, Pilsner Urquell just tick some boxes for me. Have you had a bottle of this recently? Let me know in the comments below and what you thought. Or have you got any other supermarket lager recommendations that you think are the go-to when there's nothing truly unique or interesting available? Also, let me know in the comments below. But that really is all I've got to say about it. As always, it is a fantastic beer. And as always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you haven't already, subscribe if you'll be so kind. And I'll catch you next time. Cheers.